The Oregon Ducks treated the Oklahoma City Cowboys like Wyatt Earp and his brothers did the Clanton gang at the OK Corral in 1881. It was a bloodbath, 69-3 at Autzen Stadium. Welcome to another episode of Talkin Ducks. I'm Aaron Fentress of the Oregonian and Oregon Live, filling in for Jordan Kent, who's out calling something, WNBA, college football game. I don't know what he's doing, but I think he has a rule: if the Ducks win by 60 or more, he just doesn't show up. So I get to fill in for those shows. With that, let's welcome in our panel, George Wrighster and Anthony Newman, who are grateful, I'm sure, to join me as the host. You guys love it when I'm hosting, right?
Love it.
Don't you?
Yeah.
You love it?
Let's do this. Let's go.
George?
It's exciting.
Okay.
Riveting.
Thrilling. Before we move on, let's address the elephant in the room. People in the comments have been asking, where is Joey Harrington? Well, Joey has decided to take this season off. He's got a bunch of things going on in his life and just can't fit it in. So we hope to have him back next year. I personally hope to have him back because more or less of him means more of George, which, you can catch us on the Ducks Confidential podcast and see
You're
why
welcome,
I'm already
Aaron.
getting. No, I love me some George. All right, topics real quick. Did Mike Gundy step in it? Probably. The combo of Moore to Moore is on fire. The defense is rolling, and we're going to look ahead to this week's probable blowout when Oregon goes to play Northwestern. But first, let's get to our opening drive, brought to you by Guarantee Chevrolet. Here is Dan Lanning and Dante Moore talking about Saturday's beatdown.
I told our team right before the game that, it never requires extra motivation for an opportunity to go out and kick ass, but it never hurts when somebody pours gasoline on the fire. So I felt like these guys wanted the chance to go prove who they are. And I'm sure I got a lot of respect for Coach Gundy, but his press conference, he's probably saying, "See, I told you so." Right? Like that's probably what his comment is, but that doesn't change the way we have to play to be a winning football team. And we have good players, one of our best. I don't know, Bryce Betcher played good today. He came here for a backpack and a T-shirt. So I'm really proud of those guys on our team that, have developed into great players. Again, the guys that watched other people play last year are now playing for us. Like that's what makes this team great.
You attack our head coach, it's like attacking, my dad, to be honest. It's like you're attacking a family member. And I feel like as a whole team, it's kind of, it hit close to home. And we knew that every week that, it's always going to be some trash talk happening. But for him to attack Phil, him to attack Coach Lannon, or attack our team, it was kind of personal. And this whole week, we just used it as fire to make sure that we push ourselves and score 69 points. And we did that. And it was a lot of fire under this game, but overall I felt like we were cool, calm, and collective. But Coach Lannon said, we're going to keep the foot on their neck and make sure we score as many points and try to break the scoreboard.
All right. If you listen or watch the Ducks Confidential podcast, you know that George and I have been going at it about this, probably over the top. But hey, that's life. We like to argue. That's just what we do. So because of that, I'm going to go to Newman first. So Newman, you and I, in the third quarter of the game, I came down to hang out with Newman.
Yeah,
no, actually right before half, it was second quarter. And I'm just like, bro, man, isn't this boring? And you're like, yeah, it's kind of, and Newman's a Duck at heart, always will be. So he likes seeing Oregon splatter teams all over the place, but to a certain extent. But let me just ask you, one, did Mike Gundy have this coming? And two, is this necessarily good for college football? Lopsided games like that.
Well, it was a little boring at times. I mean, Oregon jumped out to what, 20-0 or something like 21-0.
In the blink of an eye, bro.
Yes, it was quick. Oklahoma State, they didn't have the players. Yeah, you have a scheme, you have a coaching staff, but sometimes you don't have the players. And I think Mike Gundy said it. Their players were just faster than his players. My corner was in position, but the receiver just ran away from him. What do you do with that? I don't know. You get beat 69-3. That's what happens. I think it's important for the fans to understand that Oregon did what they needed to do, take care of business early. We saw a lot of good things. Yeah, there's some things that the coaches or, the coaching staff will talk about, hey, we need to correct these mistakes, because sometimes when you win, it hides mistakes. But, watching the game, I started to feel bad for Oklahoma State, to be honest, After
Don't feel
the
bad for him.
no
Don't feel
no
bad,
but
Anthony.
after the second pick six, I was like, oh my Lord, what is going on here? So, but still, had a good time watching it.
Okay, so this is a game. I'll come to you next, George. This is a game that was scheduled a long time ago. And Oklahoma State is a proud program. They had 18 straight winning seasons. They went 10-4 just 2 years ago. And then, as everyone knows, Gundy kind of ignored NIL, ignored the transfer portal a little bit, and it bit them in the backside. They were 3-9 last year. This year, I think they added 62 new players, counting incoming freshmen. So you're starting over. They got D2 dudes who came up to try and play at that level. And it was obvious on the field that one team was just bigger, faster, stronger, and more skilled. So now I come to you, George. Did Gundy just have this coming because maybe he talked too much?
Well, this was coming whether he talked or not.
Really?
But the reality
didn't matter.
is that him talking, it did add some more juice, probably to the crowd. I think to the team to a lesser extent, that they felt, the team felt some kind of way, but I don't think that made them play any harder. I think that they just that they were protective of their coach. Like Dante said, protective of Phil Knight, that there was this protection thing going on. But you asked, is it good for college football? I think it's neither good nor bad, because Oklahoma State is a program that can be competitive. Like, they have proven that they can be competitive. So many teams do have, there are plenty of have-nots, right? And there are geographic advantages, there are money advantages, there are historic advantages, and all sorts of things that factor into college football. But when you have a team that can be competitive, but is not currently competitive, that means that there probably either a reset just happened or there needs to be a reset. Now, I'm not a guy who typically calls for coaches to be fired. However, it is very evident that where college football is in 2025, you have to have a head coach that is able to adapt and react very, very quickly, because the rules are constantly changing, the landscape, how you recruit, everything else. And Mike Gundy is a dinosaur in the ice age right now. He is a dinosaur in trying to live in the world with the Jetsons. It's moving too fast for him. It has passed him by. And it's unfortunate because, like you said, 18 straight winning seasons. He's been a really, really good head coach. But now he can't keep up with the landscape of college football right now. And to think that all of a sudden that he's going to get it and just start embracing everything and figure out new schemes. No, it is time for them to be under new leadership. But that doesn't mean that Mike Gundy's a terrible head coach. He's just not fit for this era because he didn't adapt.
Well, he chooses not to adapt. I think that's the issue, because he can. Yeah. I mean, he can bring a staff in that understands all that situation, but he chooses not to. I mean, he got rid of his whole staff last year, and then 2 new coordinators. But everybody, he's still running the system the way he wants to run it.
Yep.
And he can't keep up with the Joneses.
And this game sort of illustrates, and we've seen, so Chip Kelly, gave up being head coach to go be the OC at Ohio State. Now he's in the NFL. Nick Saban left primarily, he said, because it's become all about the money and maybe some other factors as well. But it sort of crystallizes, though, how absolutely perfect someone like Lanning is. One, he's young, so he's coming up in this era. He's not, a dinosaur, as you just said, and he's hungry and he gets it. And he's the perfect guy to go out and navigate this new world. Wouldn't you agree, George?
Oh, 100%. When you look at
put that on a tee for you.
Yeah, well, when you look at the coaches who are having success in college football, Ryan Day, still pretty young. James Franklin, young. Brian Kelly, he looks old, but he's not that old. Dan Lanning, Mario Cristobal is probably in the older side of things, but he still keeps things young and fresh. Yeah. Marcus Freeman, Sark. Sark had to adapt to different eras. Kirby Smart is young. But the guys who are older and long in the tooth coaching wise, like a Brett Bielema in Illinois, he has adapted tremendously. Even even Dabo Sweeney is being forced to adapt. Like he's adapting. He adapted to NIL early, but now he's starting to have to adapt to the transfer portal a little bit because you have to keep your core values as a team and as a person, but then you still do have to like you can't blow with the wind with every time an outside force changes, but you have to figure out how that outside force, how then you adapt it within your culture and within your value system.
So now, next topic. Let's go to Newman on this. So what do you do with this win in terms of trying to measure what it says about Oregon? We're going to get later to the whole championship window thing again. But, did they beat a true Power 4 program, or did they beat basically an FCS program disguised as a Power 4 program? Do you take much value in this blowout for the Ducks?
Well, I'm going to answer this like a coach because I am a coach. You can take a lot out of this win because there's mistakes that were made on the field that these guys have to make. You had a lot of new guys in there playing. And they have to also think about it. They're one play away from being in the game, in a game that matters because injuries are part of football. So the young kids have to understand the situations, and this is a good learning process for them. Yeah, I know the score is crazy, 69-3, but they're still going through football, situations, and they have to understand that. Another thing is understand that great teams get better when they win, okay? Championship teams, they really understand, okay, yeah, we just won, but we have to get better each week. So you're going to look at your mistakes, okay? You put that film aside, and you move on to the next game, Northwestern. It doesn't change. It's the same way all year. Every team that you play, they could beat you at any time. You understand that as a player. You're trying to make sure that you do all the things that you need to do to help this football team win games. And that's sometimes hard for young kids. It's focus. How do you focus? And that's where that coaching staff, they step in and go, hey, this is what we need to do. Let's stay on task. Let's focus and get this done every single week. Let's be consistent.
George, you got about a minute left. What can you glean from this type of win, despite the fact that Oregon was clearly vastly superior to the Cowboys?
Oh, something totally different. It 100%, it scared me, and it brought me back to the Rose Bowl. And I didn't realize how much the Rose Bowl impacted me and hurt me until Saturday. Think about that. And that's because I came into this season expecting the Ducks to go 10-2 or 11-1 and make the college football playoff. And then I would start to worry about it then. And then it reminded me the Ducks looked so good in the first two games that I was like, oh my God, that the Rose Bowl hurt me in a place where I don't want to be hurt like that again. Where you're like, you're 13-0. Everything is going in your favor. Granted, the playoff format and all that thing, but it doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. The loss still and the fashion that it happened, it hurt me and it cut me deep. So then I was like, man, listen, I'm not going to get excited about anything. I'm just going to let the season go on. And then I started thinking like, that's a crappy way to go through a football season, all jaded and just hurt from the past relationship that broke your heart. And I was like, instead of being jaded, I'm going to enjoy every single game for what it is. Keep my expectation of 10-2 or 11-1, but live in the moment. Be where my feet are. Like Dan Lanning tells the team. Don't, like Will Stein will tell you when you ask him about future head coaching jobs, like Dan Lanning did at Georgia when he was asked about future head coaching jobs. Be where your feet are. So enjoy this win. Enjoy it for what it is. Don't worry about last season. Don't worry about your heartbreak. Don't worry about the playoff. Just take this for what it was, which was a dominating win. And now we're on to Northwestern.
All right. Great first segment. We mixed in Wyatt Earp and the Jetsons. That's why you watch Talkin Ducks. Next up, we're going to talk about Dante Moore unleashing the arm strength a little bit more in this week. And is DeCorian Moore the most exciting freshman in decade, 2 decades, 3 decades? We'll talk about that and more on the next segment, of Talkin Ducks. Welcome back to Talkin Ducks. Now look, when you have blowouts like this, you try and find things you can extract that excites you for the future or maybe concern you? One thing I was happy to see was Dante Moore sling the ball downfield a couple times. He didn't get a chance to do that during the 59-13 win over Montana State, but he did in this game. He went 65 yards to Talkin Moore, and he threw an absolute laser beam to Malik Benson on a 42-yard touchdown. So Newman, let's go to you as a former safety, 13 years in NFL, dealing with Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, and Steve Young. You've seen some quarterbacks slinging the ball in your lifetime. Were you impressed with what you saw from Dante Moore and his ability to go downfield?
Well, yeah, I like the deep ball. Take the top off the defense, attack those safeties. That's what you want to see. And you have the receivers to do that. And you have an offensive line to protect him, to give him time to throw that deep ball. But, Dante Moore dropped back about a 10-yard drop and threw a couple of those deep posts, the one to Malik. That was a bomb. And so it's nice to see he's on target. A lot of times you see in early games, the quarterback is, he overthrew him or he underthrew him. Right now, Dante Moore is on target. So, and they say he can sling it. They say he can sling it with anybody. But the receiver core, to me, the group is just unreal. And think about it. There's not like one guy that has 8 catches or 7 catches and the next guy has 6 catches. We're talking about, Moore had 2 catches and 1 touchdown. Benson had 2 catches and 1 touchdown. Bryant had 3 catches and 1 touchdown. That's production. What? Are you kidding me? And that's what you want as a quarterback. You're throwing it, your guys are catching it, and they're scoring points. Because yards don't beat you. Remember? Points do. So that's nice to see.
Let me ask you this, George. So, when you have everything working around you as a quarterback, it becomes somewhat easier to operate. You're not getting touched. Guys are getting open. Like the Benson touchdown, the safety screwed up. Like he turned his hips to chase Talkin, who ran out, and let Benson run right by him, right? That's a mistake, but the quarterback read it. So how do you, as a former tight end, and we've already discussed on different shows how much the tight end knows more than anyone on the field except for the quarterback, according to George, how do you evaluate Moore, given the fact that he really didn't have a lot of duress to deal with, but he looked great regardless?
Yeah. I thought that him getting hurt right before halftime, I would have liked that to happen about 5 minutes earlier. That way, then you can see. No, for real.
No, it's just funny. Go ahead.
Because I want to.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't want him injured.
Right. No, I know.
But a little ouchie every now and then in these first couple of games is A-okay because you got to play through adversity. I want him to get scraped up a little bit, and from normal things because he's got to get ready for that Penn State game. But the thing I do like is he's going through multiple reads. He's not putting the ball in danger. He's being smart with the football. He's being aggressive at the same time. So he's not being, just playing check down football. You have to play a combination of all of those things. But the thing that I'm really, really excited about that I saw in the game is what we saw out of Will Stein. And Anthony, you can talk about this too, is we have never seen the amount of formations and things that we're seeing out of this Oregon offense. We saw a lot more under center. I think we probably saw more under center plays.
Yes, we did.
In this one game than we saw all of the last couple of years combined, aside from the goal line. And we saw under center, we saw unbalanced, we saw motions, we saw shifts, we saw shotgun, we saw empty, we saw if you are preparing for this team, you saw trick plays, you saw reverses, you saw flea flickers, throwback screens, he literally threw so much that if you're preparing for Oregon, what do you prepare for? That that just spreads out the other team's time because you only have a finite amount of practice time and you have to practice against what you think they're going to do. And then if they come out doing something completely different, now you got a problem.
Absolutely. And I didn't mention this before, Dante Moore was 16 of 21, 266 and 3 touchdowns. Scoring 2 touchdowns in the day was freshman wide receiver Talkin Moore, who scored on a 65-yarder from Moore and had a reverse or end around 25 yards for a touchdown as well. He's only touched the ball a handful of times in 2 games, but Dude is incredibly smooth, fast, quick, shifty, just a natural runner. Anthony, is he the most exciting freshman we have seen at Oregon since blank?
It's the second game.
D'Anthony Thomas. Okay, I'm just asking, bro.
This is the second game. Let's get maybe halfway through, or let's
name someone. We're talking about freshmen, not many freshmen.
No, okay.
The list of freshmen who have looked this spectacular.
I got one. I got one.
What Anthony's trying to say.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
is that yes, he does look exciting. However, through 2 games, we're talking about like 6 total touches. I don't think it's a big enough sample size. But there is potential. But there is potential for that.
I'm saying the look, the excitement he brings when he gets the ball. Like if I think back to true freshmen of the last since I began covering the team, we're talking probably Charles Nelson, D'Anthony Thomas, and who else? Who else is a true freshman?
D'Anthony Thomas.
That's what I'm saying.
It's funny. When D'Anthony Thomas was a freshman and he was playing in that game in Dallas against LSU, and he ran onto the field for warm-ups, I could tell by the way he ran, he trotted on the field, that D'Anthony Thomas was a dude. I'm like,
no. You can tell by the way he
see, so you can tell in the warm-ups he was a dude, but I can't say DeCorian's a dude after 6 touches? Come on, bro.
No, but now I'm saying, but I'm saying this, DeCorian Moore is a dude. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
I mean, he's different. He's not normal. And you like those guys. But I still want to see, I mean,
of course we want to see.
I want to see him go against some teams.
Here's a tip. Here's a tip here. Is that what we've seen out of DeCorian Moore so far is a drop in the bucket to what we are going to see. He will be the more than likely the starting punt returner. They are easing him in. By the time we get to about halfway through the season, 2/3 of the way through the season, he'll be in the backfield. He'll be lined up out wide. You'll see a lot more of the D'Anthony Thomas action. Now, mind you, he's bigger than D'Anthony was, and he's faster than D'Anthony was, because D'Anthony's speed versus his quickness, like his quickness was at a 100.
Thank you. Yes, it is. Yes.
His speed was about a 90, whereas DeCorian Moore's speed is about a 98, and quickness and his little quickness could be a 92. So so it could turn out special.
All right. On our next segment, we will dive into the defense, which, put a whooping on the Cowboys, and we'll also talk about that running back depth. Still some developments going on there with Mekhi Hughes, but Noah Whittington is the man and showed off again. That next on Talkin Ducks. Welcome back to Talkin Ducks. So while Dante Moore was helping to put up 631 yards of offense, Oregon's defense held Oklahoma State to 211 yards, 67 passing, 144 rushing. Newman, again, you're not dealing with necessarily a legitimate Big 12 team, but still you can't do much better than that. What are you liking so far from the defense? And do you think what we're seeing is going to translate when they play much better teams? Because last year, it didn't always do so.
No, what I like about this defense is the front 7. I mean, they are active. They're making tackles. You don't find a lot of linemen. They'll hold up a gap or two, but they won't make tackles. These guys are block destruction. Get rid of the blocker, making tackles. Amari Washington. And then the linebackers. Everybody was like last week, the linebackers disappeared. Well, this week they showed up. They made all the tackles. Bryce Betcher made every tackle. I think he had 9 tackles, Bryce did. Yep. So that's what you want to see. It's just they dominated the offensive line. They've dominated the trenches. And yes, see, Oklahoma State ran for 144 yards, but they had 41 attempts. I mean, that's a 3.4 average. Come on. You run it that much, you should get something. So it was nice to see that the front 7 is taking care of business, getting to the quarterback. You had 2 sacks, you had 2 INTs, getting points on defense. What else could you ask for? There was one broken play, and it's going to happen. And I think the young guys were in that series. Yeah. But that happens. We're human. They're human. They're going to make a mistake. And the guy was scrambling. And a lot of times with those scramble rules, it's all crazy because the quarterback's running for his life. The receiver, he runs the initial route, then turns around and just takes off. And yeah, sometimes you get, as a DB, you get bad eyes. You're looking back at the quarterback instead of looking at your guy. That's what happened. But that's one play out of what, 60 plays? Defense was good.
So George, so you made it clear all offseason that even though the Ducks were losing 8-9 starters on a darn good defense, that they had dudes coming up who were about to take off. I take it you're not very disappointed at this point.
No, I'm not. That would be an understatement. But I will say, now, I am a little bit confused about how to look at the rushing yards because they did run for only 3.4 yards a carry. But I look at the math. 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 equals 12. So that's a first down every 4 downs. And I would like to see it below that. However, the reason why I'm not going to give any demerits or anything, because Oklahoma State was literally trying to just get the game over with. that these aren't, like, if they were in a normal game flow, they wouldn't have run the ball 42 times against this team. They were like, let's keep the clock running. Like, let's make it all stop, make it all go away. So that being considered, I think the run defense did do a good job. And especially considering that you got young guys in, you rotated everybody, and that's not your best foot forward in terms of your optimal lineup, and you still destroyed them in every single aspect. That part I like. And remember, we talked about Aaron and Anthony about teams, like where you can judge depth on teams a lot of times is when the backups come in, because people used to make excuses. Oh man, see, that was against the backups. Yeah, I know they gave up 14, but those are the guys who are going to play either this year or next year when there are injuries happening. But even when the walk-ons were in at the end of the game, they still didn't give anything up.
Yeah.
That says something about the culture and the just the high standard and expectation when you step on the field with that jersey on.
George, let me make you feel a little better about the rushing yards and about yards itself.
Okay.
And I had a defensive coordinator. I had him for the Rams, Saints, and the Raiders for 3 different teams. Same guy. He was David Shaw's father, Willie Shaw.
Okay.
And he used to tell us all the
Smart man.
time. Yeah, he used to tell us all the time. Yards don't beat you. Points do. So when Oklahoma State had 3 points in 4 quarters of football, and you're driving up and down that field and you're getting yards, but you don't score, then that's how you win football games. That's when you win championships. So yes, they got 100. Yeah, they had 144 yards, and it happens. Sometimes they get a gap here and there because maybe you're playing a soft after the game. Was it 55 to 3? You're like, okay, what do we do here? But I get it.
And you're not giving up explosives.
Thank you. That's right. Exactly right. So the yards, points, 3 points. That's great.
I mean, if you think about it, they really only had, that was the only attempt at points that they had the entire,
correct.
It wasn't even like that they were in positions to kick other field goals. They just literally were confined to an area of the field. It was like there was a force field up that you can't even get anywhere near to, like, you can't throw it far enough to get it to the end zone, and you can't kick it far enough to get it to get it through the uprights. Thank you, Anthony.
Right.
Yeah.
So while Oklahoma State matriculated its way to 100-something yards rushing and didn't do much damage on the scoreboard, the Ducks rushed for 312, 8.4 yards per carry, which is insane. 5 touchdowns. Noah Whittington, 4 for 91 yards, and of course that 59-yard touchdown in which it was exquisitely blocked. And then we also saw Jaden Lamar get 6 rushes for 87 yards. Now Mekhi Hughes, 9 carries, but 7 came in the second half. So let's start with you, George. What are we making of this situation at running back? Is it clear at this point that Lamar is probably the number 2 back and Mekhi is going to be 3rd at best?
Okay, so I went and asked the question because remember last episode we speculated, like, could it be that he was told he was second, didn't handle it well? They said no. The kid's a great kid. They're like, that's not even in his personality. Great kid, great personality. fits in with the team, hasn't hung his head. That when you look at the tape and you've graded it out, he is where he is because other people have graded higher. That's it. And there's not a sense of, oh man, coach is screwing me, this and that. That until the grades are better, whether it's in practice, scrimmages, more consistency in the games, any of that, he's going to be where he's going to be until something changes. And I do believe that just speaks to the depth of this room, because we've asked, is there a special back in this group? And I think out of all the backs, probably the most single special is De'Ara Hill as a freshman. And then Jordan Davidson after that. Now he only got 3 carries, but he did get another touchdown because he's mainly the goal line back. But it is going to be very, very interesting, I think, when you get after that Penn State game and you get toward the middle of the season, because there will be a back who's going to carry the main load, and it's probably going to be Noah Whittington, probably because did you guys see that one play where they had a blitzing linebacker and Noah stepped up and just stoned him?
That was the touchdown to Decorian. Yeah, he picked it up.
That's what quarterbacks love out of their backs. That's what the lines love out of their backs. And that's what coaches love to trust with their backs. So until somebody else starts doing that on a regular basis, Noah will be the dude probably.
So Anthony, when you're on defense, you're a defensive coordinator, you play defense. When you see a team where the number in the backfield changes, but the production doesn't, and they're just rolling fresh guys at you one after the other, and you're getting worn down, how difficult is that to deal with?
It is difficult because there are different styles in how they run the ball. You know, you have the big back, you have the shifty back, you have the speed back, you have the back who catch the ball out of the backfield. So it changes, and they're going to use the backs in different ways, and they're fresh. You're a middle linebacker. You're getting tired. You just did maybe, they had a 6-play drive. All of a sudden a new back comes in and you're still in there trying to catch your breath. So it is tough. But George, I got a question for you, an offensive guy. Is it hard? Back in the day, think about it. Back in the day, a running back would carry the ball, 25 times?
Yeah.
26 times, 27 times? Noah had 4 carries and he's done for the day. I mean, it's like, let me get loose. At least give it to me 10 times. It seems like that would be hard.
Well, I mean, in this game, it would have been hard to get anybody 10 touches, but because they were scoring so quickly that it's hard to get everybody touches. But I do think that you do have to have a main back, a guy that can get into some rhythm and get you to tough yards and not just be running guys in and out every single play. So that's why I said that after about halfway through the season, I think you'll see settle in about who's going to be the main guy. Like remember when Noah and Bucky were kind of in the beginning of the season trading carries, and then when it mattered the most, who was in there all the time? Bucky. And I think that somebody is going to establish themselves as that guy. Look at Jordan James last year. He established himself as that guy who had to be in, and nobody else was ready for that task. And so until you get somebody that jumps up and says, I'm that man, I need 20 carries a game when it matters the most, then you're going to see this. Until that, because they're trying to figure it out. Who is that guy? Because you have to have one that won't fumble, will block, will make a catch out of the backfield, can make somebody miss, like when they hit your leg and they trip and fall. And last year we would see the back fall on the ground and just hit the ground like, I was almost. Whereas the year before you had Bucky, they hit him and Bucky stumbled and then he's still out there ready to hit his head on the goalpost.
All right. Great segment, guys. Next up, we're going to talk about the polls. Oregon moved up in one, stayed pat in another, and take a look around the nation. Welcome back to Talkin Ducks. Oregon saw their status in the AP poll bump up from 6 to 4, but they stood pat at number 5 in the coaches poll. In the AP poll, Georgia, which was 4, fell behind the Ducks after only winning 28-6 over Austin Peay. Let's start with you, George. You said earlier in the season you love being number 7. They're ticking up a little bit. Do you like where they are right now?
Yeah, same, because you're in striking distance and you can fade a loss. That's all you want to do is get in the college football playoff and beat. I mean, you know who it would suck to be right now? South Florida. You beat 2 ranked teams, including an SEC team who people are super excited about, and you're at number 18. Anybody else would be ranked number 1 probably or number 2 at this point in time in the season. So they're not in striking distance. They take a loss to Miami. They might this weekend, even in a close game, they might fall out of the top 25, which is crazy. So I love the striking distance, but even more so, I love the respect. That's the thing that matters the most because, and we talked about this last season, is that Oregon being ranked number 1, despite what happened in the Rose Bowl for so long, that's a matter of respect. And people get used to seeing you in those spots. Like when Joel Klatt put his top 10 out this week, he was like, oh man, I'm going to give Penn State the benefit of the doubt after that game last week. I'm going to give Georgia the benefit of the doubt, even though they only scored 28 points against Austin Peay. Now Oregon is in that conversation of the benefit of the doubt when they don't look pretty because you just talked about they jumped above Georgia. When else could a blowout game where Georgia technically had a blowout too, where Oregon could have jumped above, Georgia? I think the respect matters more.
Yeah.
All right, Newman, your thoughts?
Well, lack of respect from the country with Oregon. And they're always going to look at those big teams, the Michigans, the Ohio States, the Alabamas, and all those schools like that. It's tradition. It really is. But being 4 in it's what's this, the second game. Yeah, you're happy with it. Sometimes
and you got one first place vote, Anthony.
Yeah. When you start climbing up too high, I think the kids look at that. They say they don't, but I know they're looking at it. Sometimes that might be a little bit of extra pressure that you're dealing with. I like, hiding in the weeds, and all of a sudden you come up a little bit later on in the season. But if you're stuck with 4, that's where you're at.
All right, next up, we're going to dive back into the whole are they in a championship window question next on Talkin Ducks. Now, we'll see what happens 6-7 weeks down the road. Maybe they'll be 7-0. And maybe
so the
Dante
window's not open,
amazing.
Aaron. So the
as of right
national
now,
championship window is not open.
We have to define what that means. As of right now, I'm saying they're not going to win the national title. I'm 50-50 when I say they're going to reach the national championship game. I've only said it 4 times. I was right twice. I've never been wrong when I said they're not going to win it or they're not going to make it. So I'm 100% there. And I'm saying right now, this team right now, as it sits right, there's no way they're going to the national championship game, let alone winning it.
Wow. Now, after 2 games in the books, Mr. Aaron Fentress, are you ready to change your tune about the Ducks championship window being open?
Okay. Look. No. It's Oklahoma State. We've talked about how mediocre and bad they are. It's basically an FCS program. Oregon beat Portland State a few years ago, 81-7 or whatever it was. They didn't win the national title. I do think this team.
Not Portland State.
I know, but I'm just saying you can have big wins and they don't necessarily translate into you necessarily contending. All I'm saying is this: I need to see the Penn State game. This Northwestern, meaningless. Oregon State, meaningless. I expect them to win all 4 of those games by a lot, and they've already won the first 2 by a bunch. Penn State's going to tell the tale. If they go win in Penn State, I will come right back in the show and say, yeah, they're closer to that window being
okay.
there.
But
if they don't, then I'm going to have reservations.
Okay. So there are 11 spots available for the college football playoff because one of them goes to a G5. Aaron, so I'll ask this question a different way. Does Oregon, through 2 games, in your opinion, in your esteemed opinion, your football knowledge opinion, are they one of the 11 best teams in the country from what you've seen across the country so far? Not projecting out in the future, through 2 weeks, are they one of the best 11 teams that you have seen?
Okay, so I'm glad you asked that because
I
don't know.
It's a yes or no question from what you have seen.
I don't know.
No, Aaron, it's not
I don't have a yes or no.
What happens at Penn State? What happens a month from now? From what you have seen so far,
I honestly do not know.
Aaron, you're fired. Jordan, where you at? Jordan, where you at? Jordan, come help us.
I don't know. I need to see this young quarterback under duress because, hey,
no,
Dante Moore.
That's not the question, Aaron.
Okay, so I'm giving you my. Okay, then no. I'll say no then. But I don't believe that necessarily. That's why I don't know. I'm on the fence. But is your point then that they're a playoff team, that means the window is there? See, we have a different definition of window. To me, the window means you are a clear favorite to at least make the championship game. Doesn't mean you will, but you're in that where you're a favorite, not you're one of 10 of 11 teams who's going to be in the playoffs.
One of the top 11. Are you kidding me, Aaron?
I know. I'm giving my definition of a window. To me, top 11 doesn't make you in the window. But I'm saying I don't know. I can't say after these two games they haven't played anyone. They could very easily lose to a team that's destined to be 7-5. If you are in the tournament
year after year, that means your window is open. But
okay.
I
disagree. I disagree.
Okay,
I disagree with that because I don't believe Tennessee was in the window last year. Tennessee was in the playoffs. Were they in the window?
I said multiple years in a row, but okay.
Well, this is the first year. This is
you got it.
They only have 1 year. They've only done that.
Okay.
All right. Anyway, Newman, you got a point? You got a point?
No. I got nothing to say. No.
Okay, good. All right. Next up, we're going to examine how amazing Oregon's going to look this week against a weak Northwestern team. Welcome back to our final segment of Talkin Ducks, where we'll look ahead at the Northwestern game on Saturday. It's a noon kickoff. Northwestern, not very good. Maybe a little better than Oklahoma State. Newman, let's start with you since George has been trying to dominate the show. Who do you think is going to shine for the Ducks? And give me a final score.
Well, the games are one up front. I think the offensive line for Oregon is going to dominate. I think the defensive line, along with the linebackers, is going to dominate. Northwestern, they ran the ball well last week. They threw the ball well last week. They're well balanced. They got a good quarterback, good defense. But they're going to have their hands full. There's a lot of speed on this Oregon football team, and they're playing well right now. Oregon's they're in that groove. So I think it's going to be 48 to 14.
All right. Quarterback you mentioned, Preston Stone, threw 4 interceptions against Tulane and lost 3 touchdowns this past week against Western Illinois. George, how do you see this game shaping up for the Ducks?
Okay, if you guys watch the Iowa versus Iowa State game, that is how Northwestern wants this game to look because they are Iowa in the situation. They want to drag this game down, make it slow, turn the, punt. That's what they want. Oregon has to jump out and score points because Northwestern can't keep up. If you make Preston Stone throw the ball a bunch of times, he's going to throw it to you. I am going to go 48-3 in this game. Excuse me. 48-9 in this game. I do think that they will get multiple field goal opportunities. Yeah, I'm not sure if they score a touchdown. If they do, it'll only be one. So, somewhere in between 9 and 13 points for them.
Okay. I'm going to go 55-13 in this game. And I'm going to go ahead and concede top 11, concede a playoff team for sure. I just don't believe that equates to window, but I will give you that, George. I would say they definitely look like a playoff team, top 11 team in the nation. And with that, we're going to go. We're going to sign off so George can't respond at all. Thanks for watching this episode of Talkin Ducks. We'll be back next week and review this blowout win that's sure to be and look ahead to Oregon State. Thanks for watching.